Hello, sewing friends. I see a lot of you here in the comments. So, give me a thumbs up or a yes, I can hear you if you can hear me. Hopefully. Karina says she's all sitting in the front row waiting for the show. I apologize for being a few minutes late. I've been racing around today, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a little bit. But got just a little bit of a late start and just had to race home and get in here and get going. So, yes, you can hear me. Okay, thank you, Alicia. Welcome, friends. We have a show tonight that's going to be just casual, a little bit of sewing chat, an overview of some great tips for making your sewing space a happier place that I learned from guests in 2024, and I'm hoping to learn from you as well. And then I've got 6 tips to share with you for making your sewing successful in the coming year ahead, 2025. So this is, let's see, we're on December 30th. The year is quickly flying by us. And while I'm not much for making resolutions, I do like to kind of review a little bit and plan for some good things in our sewing future. So again, welcome to the Let's Go Sew with Joanne Banco live show, where sewing friends gather to be inspired and learn to make the most of their machines. So I see so many of you here. Let me give a shout out to at least a few of you. Hey, Anne, I'm so glad you're pay attention to those notifications and then make it here. And Kathy, my friend Kathy's here. Oh, you're still at work, Kathy? Yikes. Well, I hope you're enjoying it. Linda's here. Cindy King, lots of our regulars here. Hey, Angie from Concord, North Carolina. Wow, great to have you here. Happy New Year to you too. Susie and Alicia. Star Raymond, you almost never ever miss. There's quite a few of you that are regulars. Pamela, you're here an awful lot too, so I'm so glad. Chris from Down Under, good day to you too. Did I do that okay? I don't know. I'd probably need a little bit of practice with that, but I'm thrilled to have you here. And Karina from Norway, I don't know what time it is. You might want to let us know. I'm always curious. You'll save me from having to look it up on the world clock. Kay is in Kentucky. Hey, Kentucky, you're my neighbor, not too far away. Sandra, hey, Susan, good to see you. And we got some of you saying hi to each other. Yeah, you were waiting. You were waiting patiently for me, and I thank you for that. Yep. Happy 2025 from Cleveland. La Gariti or L.A. Gariti? Let me know if it's an L-A or if it's a La there. Donna's here. Diane's here. Paula's here. Kimberly's here. Diane's here. Patricia, Caroline, Sandra, Jenny's here. Kimberly's here. Celine is here. And let's see, Vivian is here. Jody's here. Jeanette's here. Rosalind's here. Joanne's here. Linda's here. Welcome. So I love seeing your names in the chat, and I love hearing all of your thoughts and all of the good things that you're wishing each other as well. So let's see, we got Chris, Charlotte, Carrie, Barbara, my friend Reen from Embroidery Garden. Very good. Lynn's here. Lori's here. Wynell is here. Let's see. Is Wynell here? Yeah, Wynell is here. All right. Ginny from PA is here. And Linda from South Carolina. Rosalind. Oh, Jeanette, I love hearing where you're from all over the place. And we're all gathered here in one little space on one little screen to celebrate our love of sewing. So I'd love to know if there's anybody here that's new tonight or new-ish, let me know. I'd love to know that. But like I said, I see lots and lots and lots of familiar names and familiar icons, little faces in those icons. And so many of you have possibly watched quite a few shows. Generally on the fourth Monday of every month, I bring on a guest here and interview them, have a conversation. You all join in with your questions and your comments. And I can't tell you, this year just seems like when I was reviewing the guests, it was the best of the best of the best. Ever since I started this, I'm just like, they're all added up to be, phenomenal learning sessions, and very, very, very inspiring to hear from others, because we all think a little different. We all do things a little different, and we've all had different sewing backgrounds. We'll talk a little bit more about that tonight as well. But I thought it would be fun to kind of go through some of the highlights of different tips that we got from different guests this year. By no means, it's just a little sampling, a little sprinkling of them, but I think you would probably agree that over the course of all the conversations that we've had since I started this, everybody, again, just has some different ideas. And one of the things I love to ask my guests is, what can you tell us, either for you personally or what you might give out as advice and, information, just some little tips for what we could all do to make our sewing space a happier place. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm not necessarily talking about a neater place, a more organized place. Yes, some of us have desires for that. A decluttered space. We'll talk about that a little bit tonight as well. But all of those things are going to be different to all different people. Some people thrive on everything being absolutely perfectly aligned and in place, and they don't function well unless it's exactly like that. However, there is the creative mess that we all create, and sewing is definitely the type of thing that creates a stir. So if you can work in that environment and that's not as high on your priority list, it's not necessarily necessary to make your space a happy place. But that is some of the tips that we get. Linda says she wants a coffee pot on hers. That's a good one, Linda. That is really, really a good one. I love that. And let's see. Clovis says, measure twice, cut once. Absolutely. Maybe even 3 or 4 times and write it down. How many of you have ever taken a measurement and said, "Oh, I'll remember that when I get over to the cutting table." And then you're like, "Oh," and you got to go start way back over again, measure the whole thing all over again before you can cut it. Let's see. Angie says, banish negative thoughts and just enjoy being in the zone. Angie, those are priceless words for sure, because I think many of us would agree one of the big reasons we sew is to escape other things that are going on. And I'd love to know how many of you have a do not disturb sign that you hang on the outside of your sewing space. And your sewing space doesn't necessarily have to be a room in and of itself. It could be a corner. It could be your dining room table when you set it up, and then maybe you have to put things away. It could be wherever and whatever it is for you. It's just a place or a spot or a destination for you where you are able to let your creative self come out. Let's see. Stephanie, so just a more convenient place to get the job done is great. Yeah. Convenience, Stephanie, that is a super good point, because convenience for some people, again, could mean that everything is all, in a drawer or in a spot or labeled. And so, it's like always there. Others of us may have a mental idea where we put it, or there is also, the type that likes things kind of out and about so that they're not having to dig for it in a drawer. But more convenience is always going to get more done. Diane says, press, press, press. So that's a good one, Diane. And that also kind of leads into press with what? A good iron, right? I recently had a discussion with some people in a Facebook group. Someone was looking for an iron and they were frustrated by a particular brand. I'm not really here to knock any particular brands, but I will just tell you that very soon I'm going to have some new videos that are going to be unboxing videos for products that I really like. And one of them is for the reliable velocity handheld, not the industrial type, the handheld home style iron, because I really just that is for me, after all the irons I've used, it's the best one I've ever used. So stay tuned and watch for that. Lynn says, breathe, release tension. That's a big one. And it's a good one. It's really good. I don't know, are we all alike in a lot of ways? I think we are, but how many of you get so focused in your work and somebody comes in the room to say something and you jump? I do that all the time because I'm like really zoned in. So you do need to breathe and release that tension. Yeah. Let's see. Susie likes a cluttered space with the walls, with paintings, art quilts, chairs, rugs. And you work on the floor instead of a table. Good for you. Yeah. I recently heard somebody say and they were an organizing person. So their whole life is teaching organizing, and in particular minimalist style thinking, which that's pretty much close to impossible for a creator, a crafter, a maker, a doer, because you need stuff to make stuff. But I just, was listening to it, and she said the first thing you need to do is make sure you never have anything on the floor. And I'm like, oh, that's a tough one. Because we got baskets and we got bins and we got scraps, and maybe you like to work on the floor. That's great. And Celine, that's a good one. Just enjoy your space. Yeah. I hope that, through the various guests and all of you here talking and sharing ideas, that we all help each other just, notch it up a level, improve it a little bit, make it a little better, make it a little happier all the time for all of us. But it certainly is somewhere where we want to enjoy. Hey, Debbie. See, Debbie's here. Ann says lots of threads on the floor. Debbie is a little late. That's okay. Glad you're here. Very glad you're here. Ann is here. Hello, hello, hello. And Susan is here. Very good. From Oklahoma. Very good, Susan. So why don't I go ahead and just bring up a couple slides. So I'm going to show you the first one came from my friend Stephanie Young from So Stephanie Says. If you saw that show, you may remember that Stephanie is actually an educator for Caesar products. It's spelled SISER, but it's pronounced Caesar. And Caesar makes materials that we use with cutting machines in particular, heat transfer vinyl, all of those fun things that are able to be cut with a cutting machine and then applied to other items, whether it's, garments or crafts or home decor. And she readily said, if you watch the show, that she actually thrives in a creative mess and makes no bones about it. But she does do a lot of live shows. You can check her out on Facebook, and of course, you can always go back to the show that is in the archives of Let's Go Sew with Joanne Banco on YouTube, and you can rewatch that show and check out all of her places where you can connect with her. But so for live shows, we don't necessarily want to have too many distractions going on in the background. So she likes to use just plain simple bins to hide her creative mess. So the way I understand it, she doesn't bother to sort and organize it. She just takes it, puts it in a bin so that when she's ready to rifle through it and play with it later, it's all there. She also said, follow your whimsy, which, how do we define that word, your whimsy? It's just, what kind of lights you up? What really do you, when you're creating, what do you feel like, I wish I could do this more often? We all have some sewing that we do that we enjoy, but we're not as like, it's not as like exciting as some other projects. So we need to make sure we have enough of those excitement projects mixed in with maybe some utility sewing or sewing that's more monotonous. And she likes to have fun things in her sewing space to make it a happy place. So her whimsy, she'll use in her actual crafting, which a lot of times includes flamingos and glitter. So she likes to have that around in her space, just those types of images. And I believe she said she at one time even put glitter on her wall. Whatever works. And she says, give yourself permission to experiment. And she talked a little bit about how if something doesn't work out, so what? You throw it away and you start over again. Now, obviously, we want to be careful when we're working with expensive materials and things that can't be, repurchased or recreated. But it's really true. A lot of the materials that we use are replaceable. They're not one of a kind on earth. And especially when you're doing some embellishment and some crafting things, those things are generally applied to something else, and you can always practice on something that's a throwaway. One good tip I'll throw in for that is not anything new, but shopping the thrift store and or bargain basement places where you get something that's maybe not quite perfect, but you're not afraid to use it to experiment on that sweatshirt or t-shirt or jean jacket or whatever, because you didn't really have a lot invested in it. So I think that's a great idea. So let's see what some more of the comments here. Hey, Barbara Jones is here from Texas. Good to have you here. And Judy is here from Tennessee. Great to have you here, Judy. Clovis, I don't know if I saw you before there. Yeah, so yeah, we have a thing pretty much in our household that when one or the other of us seems to be engrossed, we'll start with the sentence of, or the question, are you concentrating? And if the answer is yes, or a nod of the head is yes, it means go away and come back later. Hello, RJ Kinney. Hello, Ella from California. Good to have you here. Hey, Jan. Ooh, okay. Glad you're here. Happy New Year to you too. So let's see. Anybody else have some comments on it? All right, I'll go on to the next one. So the next one I picked out was Wendy Luckenbill. And if you watch the show with, back up. Whitney Luckenbill. I don't know where Wendy popped into my head. Whitney has a very thriving YouTube channel, and Whitney is pretty much geared into garment sewing virtually 100%. She's also well known for sewing with what we would call indie patterns. So indie is short for independent. So it's not the big four, it's the companies that you see with the PDF printable downloads or the patterns you order online, maybe small batch type pattern makers. My friend Diane from Style Falcon would fit into that category. I hope to connect with her again next year and have her back on the show. She's always got exciting things going on, but that's what Whitney pretty much focuses on. So in line with that, she likes to do batch cutting. So if she's thinking about making a blouse, she's going to think, can I make 3 blouses, or can I make, a blouse and a skirt and whatever else? And Whitney's also very geared into her own color palette. We talked a little bit about that on the show, about how if you look best and feel best in your personal color palette and you narrow that down when you're sewing, you're going to save yourself from a lot of sewing mistakes. Let me take a little sip of water here. So I wonder if you saw that show. Because she's working with a lot of the same color family a lot, that really plays in to this, because she can cut multiple things, and then batch cutting can even lead to batch sewing. So if all three of those garments that she's going to work on all have pockets, it makes sense to do all the pockets at once. I really love the idea of batch sewing. In my world, it's more like I try to do all the small pieces at once. I'm gonna do the pocket, the facing, the whatever. I'm not necessarily going to follow the pattern guidelines of the order that they're telling you to stitch in. Remember, they're always doing it to make the most sense to the most amount of people. But when you can work more like assembly line fashion, I don't necessarily think you necessarily get done faster, but it feels better as you're going along, because when it comes time then to do that pocket, you're not thinking, oh, I gotta finish the edges, and then I gotta press all those corners, and then I gotta top stitch, and then you already have the pocket made, and it's a simple matter of placing it and then stitching it in place. And she likes her machine set up in a U shape so that she can be sitting on a rolling chair and just swirl from place to place. I would say that is definitely ideal if you can have a U shape or an L shape, or even a elongated area where everything is set up. And then she also really likes to keep a mini iron close by for small pressing projects. And I know she highly recommended the Oliso small, their new, relatively new small iron. It comes with a silicone pad, and then if you have a mat nearby that has that's heat resistant with a wool mat, something like that, you can do little pressing, and that will definitely save time, because you're not having to get up and then go over to your main pressing here, pressing area. So Clovis says she got a small jean jacket to practice on. Yeah, and actually that's a really good point too, Clovis, because sometimes when you're thinking about doing something as a tester, a smaller size can maybe make it a little bit easier, because it's not so overwhelming. Jesse's here. Hey, Jesse. Let's see. Annette is here. Hey, Annette, glad to have you. Lois is here. And she used to take a day of vacation to stay home and sew, and got so much done then. That's a big one. Making your space a happier place is scheduling the time to do it for yourself. Just like you schedule everything else, make an appointment with yourself, for yourself, even if it's an hour, 2 hours, a half a day, a whole week, whatever you can get. Many of us have a very warm spot in our heart for Nancy Zeman, and Nancy Zeman was famous for teaching the whole principle of 10 and 15-minute sewing increments, and how much you could get done, even if you had many other things to do, just by, consistently doing those periods of time. So, oh, Chris says the sound is cutting out, but Lois says it's good. So please, if anyone else is having issues, let me know. But I think we're good. And Ann, no tea tonight. I'm drinking water tonight. I got leftover water in my cup. So yeah, Ann, great point. Denim is so easy to embroider on. Absolutely. Denim, and when I'm talking like embroidery and embroidery 101 and testing and practicing and getting used to embroidery, denim and good quality felt are my go-to pieces. Both of those you can hoop all by themselves. slip a piece of medium weight tearaway underneath, and virtually anything you pick to embroider should come out perfectly on either one of those two fabrics. Denim, the only thing you're going to notice sometimes with denim, depending on how pronounced the weave is, that sometimes straighter stitches can look a little bit skewed on that, but that's just simply because of the weave. Anne says she still watches Nancy. Nancy was a great lady and a trailblazer, and a lot of us have a lot to thank Nancy Zeman for sure. And Kathy says it was a great show with Whitney. Yeah, it really was. It was a really fun show. They were all great, every single one. Even when we had a few technical glitches, they were all great. Deborah from Ontario. Hey, my friend from Ontario. Good to have you here. I'm so thrilled to see so many people from so many different places. And Jenny made a nutcracker, out of the Caesar HTV. HTV stands for heat transfer vinyl, which otherwise means it's an iron-on material. From DBJJ, I'm gonna guess that I'm pretty much correct when I say that means designs by Juju. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm hoping I've got big plans for lots of guests for next year, and I'm hoping to have her on my show as well. So that would be a fun one. Whitney was at, I got to meet her as well. She was in the Cleveland area, and I was at the Cleveland show. And we just like, boom, saw each other's faces and ran straight for a hug. And that was the first time we've ever had the chance to see each other in person. Yeah. Oh, and Kathy, you bring up a really good point, because here's the other idea. Let's just say you buy something to try out a technique or a design or whatever, and it's not to your liking, or you want to make some changes. Redonate it. And certainly something in any other size is going to fit some other person somewhere. So that just makes it a really good way to pass that along. So Barbara, your office is in your sewing room. One keeps you from going crazy with the other. That's interesting. So your happy place is a mixed work and pleasure place. I wonder if sometimes your work is calling and your sewing is calling at the same time, and that they get to be a little bit conflicting. That would happen to me. All right, let's see the next one. The next one was a good friend. Again, we've never had the chance to meet in person, but just like all of you, we've all developed these wonderful friendships, some near, some far, and we all feel like we've known each other for a long time, and seeing each other face to face online is the next best thing to seeing each other in person. So Jamie and I have had several connections online, and she runs the It's for Sale private Facebook group. So if you can go back to find her show in the Let's Go Sew with Joanne Banko live playlist. You can find it there. But her world revolves around a lot of different types of sewing, and she put up that private Facebook Facebook page as a place for you to be able to buy and sell. She does have people on that page that are in a retail business, but there's a lot of people just like us that have things that we've either used and don't want to use anymore, or we've been gifted things, or we've inherited things. Whatever it is, it's a great place to share your sewing stuff. And some people give some things away. That's certainly happens on occasion, but a lot of it is for sale. And it's a great place even for people to post if they're looking for something particular. Another sip, but my question for you is, how many times have you run out of a fabric and you couldn't find it again locally? I've been talking a lot today, so that's why I'm having to drink water a little bit more. But um, that certainly happens. And if it's a line of fabric that maybe it's a quilt fabric and your shop isn't carrying it anymore, it's another place where you can just put out an SOS looking for, list it. If you have a picture of it, post a picture. And it's all about people helping other people. All right, let's see. Oh, and so Barbara answers, yep, but she tries to let both win equally. Okay, that's good. All right, Lori. Oh, next time you're there, we'll have to see each other. We're looking forward to that show coming back to Cleveland if you get a chance to get there. And let's see what Angie has to say. Angie says thrift store items can be used for practice, then donate again. Yep, exactly. It's exactly the idea there. Very good. All right, I think I got one or two more. So let's see. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, so that's it. That was the last one, just as a kind of real quick recap, real quick overview of some of the great tips that I thought came in for making your space a happy place. And then you've shared some of your own here, which were great. Some of the other things that came up more than once were, good lighting, having your favorite tools accessible, all of those things. But it's certainly whatever we make it for ourselves. So the next thing I wanted to do, and again, just like I said, it's gonna be kind of a casual show. We might end a little sooner than an hour tonight, depending on if you have some questions. But I thought it would be fun to just throw out some ideas for what you could do next year. Again, I'm not big on resolutions and, posting everything that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, because we all know life gets in the way sometimes. So, you may find that you've got big dreams for doing a certain thing, making a certain thing, finishing a certain thing, and then other things take precedence. So I'm not really big on putting it all out on paper. I like to take Lord willing, we'll do this or that, and then do my best. But there are certainly some things that we can aspire to, for sure. And let's see, Karina, clean your machine regularly. A clean machine is a happy machine. That is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And very, very wise advice. I recently was helping my friend who runs a sewing studio in the area, and she teaches a lot of kids classes. And she was having some trouble with the bobbin, and I said, okay, I can fix it. I took it apart, opened it all up, and I found lots of dust in there. So yeah, you really do need to make sure that you're keeping those machines clean. And that's could be a little bit of a sticky issue for some, because every machine, could be a little bit different. And I'm going to really recommend that you're very careful when you do open up, and we're talking about the bobbin case area, when you open that up to clean it, that you follow whatever your particular brand and model requires. With some of the machines, there are certain parts and pieces that have to be put into place prior to the next part going into place. So look it up in your manual or ask your dealer. If it's a Brother machine and you'd like to ask me, just shoot me a note and I would be happy to find out the answer for you. But it is really important, because if you take that apart to clean it and then you don't put it back together in the proper manner that it was designed to go back together, you could end up with some issues then when you start stitching. So you don't want that to happen. All right, let's see. Caroline. Caroline doesn't make a resolution, but she sets goals. Yeah. And a list of projects. Absolutely. Because again, you're aspiring to do things, and a planner can definitely help you to visualize all that, and even help start mentally planning what you need and what you need to prepare for that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too in a couple minutes. All right, Patricia. Hey, Patricia. Learn all the various things on your sewing embroidery machine, what it can do that you've never tried. Well, if I know you, Patricia, I know you've tried an awful lot. So we've all certainly got more to learn because it's an endless sea of wonder, really and truly. And Barbara promised herself this year she'd try new techniques within a month of seeing them on YouTube or in a class. I like that. Time to turn know that into know how. That's a good one. Very, very good. I like it. Chris, too much fabric and haberdashery. Yeah. Oh, Chris, we should have a conversation over a big cup of coffee because, for some of us that have been doing this for decades upon decades, it's not. So you're going to understand this. Many of you are going to understand this. When I say it's not fabric, it's not stuff, it's not notions, it's treasures. For us, those pieces are treasures and they have value that even though they haven't been totally used yet, they fit into that category of treasures for sure. Definitely. Susie, hanging racks attached to the ceiling. Is that something you have done or you're going to do? Let us know. That sounds like something very interesting. And it leads to another great tip, and that is when you can't go anywhere else, meaning your space is contained, think about what you can do to go up on those walls, hanging from the ceiling. Hey, that works if that's what you want to do. But a lot of those things can be improved by just implementing systems that make use of the wall space and give you more room to work around in your floor space. Yeah, Angie, unfulfilled dreams. Yeah, that may be a prettier sounding term for what most of people call goals. Goals is like almost so dry and impersonal, maybe. But if we call them, here are my list of unfulfilled dreams. That could be a fun list to make out. Yeah. Karina says, sew at least 5 items from your stash before buying new fabric. That's a great tip. Great tip. That says that we all have 5 items, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that too. Angie's hoping to sew her stash this year and not buy much new fabric. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and share and these are in no particular order, no particular, importance. They're just 6 tips that I thought of in about 5 minutes, threw on a piece of paper, put it up in a few slides so that I could remember to talk about it with all of you tonight. So let's go ahead and put that one back up there, and I'll put myself on there with it. Let's see, right there. We'll do that. Nope, we don't want to do that. We want to do, which one do we want to do? We want to do that one. Okay. Let me know if that's not big enough for you. If it's not big enough for you, I'll bring that up larger. But this 6 off the top of my head tips for sewing success in 2025 and of course beyond. And this one is a little bit like just a little bit of a thought process here. A lot of times we go from place to place and we don't necessarily get into conversations with people. But if you have the chance and you meet someone that is involved in some type of crafting creative activity, particular sewing enthusiast, ask them what they just made or what they are currently making, and then ask them why they chose to make that. Might give some of us pause for thought ourselves, and what they learned in the process, because every bit of advice that everyone else has learned is going to help us do more, do better, and have more sewing success. So this one just came to me because I think a lot of times I may start a conversation with someone in a sewing store. Maybe we're both shopping in the same place. Maybe we're in line at the fabric counter. You meet somebody at a sewing show or in a classroom, and sometimes we're afraid to ask more than just the what kind of sewing do you like type questions. But this is definitely one that I'm going to use more often. I'm going to use it in classes. I'm going to use it in club meetings. I'm going to use it just in personal relations with people. But ask them what they just made or what they're currently making, why they chose to make that. It's always fun to know the motivation. It might have a great story behind it, and what they learned in the process. So let me know if you like that one. I think it's just something a little bit different. Okay, so the next one, like I said, we talked a little bit about managing our space, what we have, what we want to keep, what we maybe don't want to keep, and again, as far as selling or giving away things, the So It's For Sale site from Jamie Ruckle is a good place to start. We've talked about some of this in the past. Maybe you've got crafting groups, sewing guilds, maybe senior centers, nursing homes, churches. There are places in certain cities that are designated for reselling craft items. So you can look for that. One way sometimes you find out about those type of things is looking up recycle in my area. So if you just, internet search of your particular county or city and recycling, sometimes it will lead you to a site that is more than just what do you do with your plastic laundry jugs. It'll list other things for recycling, other items. But this is something that I did a short little blog series about and promised to do more, and I will do some more. But I pretty much laid out a system that you can find it if you go to Joanne Banco's blog on letsgosew.com, and my website is very searchable. So if you just search streamlining your space, you'll find the blog posts on that. And I came up with a system that worked for me, and it's still working for me, and I'm still working my way through it. But I basically decided not to make, it's going to sound funny, not to make too many decisions at once, because I think that's what throws off a lot of us when we say we're going to get organized or we're going to clear the clutter. Everything we pick up, everything we touch, we go, I don't know. Maybe I do want this. Maybe I don't want it. Maybe, some things are a definite yes, other things are a maybe. But a lot of it really just needs to be put away and sorted. And if you start sorting and you start putting away, for me anyway, then I get it, time goes away and I get tired and then no more gets done. So I came up with a system where I just use labeled boxes, and I label giveaway, throw away, put away, and basically I'm compiling it all first and sorting it later. And part of the sorting process, if I just give you a simple tip on that, not rocket science, but like items should be stored with like items. So if you've got 20 pairs of scissors, it's best to have most of them all in the same place. Now you might want to have one at one machine and one at another, and one in your going sewing bag, and one in your home sewing area. But just check out those blog posts. I think you might find them interesting, and you might find it to be a system that works for you. It's also because everything is contained in those containers, you can just keep adding to it. And when you get a batch of things, for example, like giveaway, and you're going somewhere, you just take that box with you, put it in the back of the car, and label maybe who you want to give it to. But you can certainly distribute some of that to some of your friends. All right, let's see. Deborah says, give your craft items to a thrift store. Yeah. And that's a great idea, Deborah. And little tip on that is most of us have multiple thrift stores. If you really think about it within let's say a 20 to 25-minute drive, there's probably several that you could go to. Check them out first and see, do they have a section with patterns? Do they have a section with fabric, with yarn, with this, that, all the types of things that we're talking about? And if they already do have a nice size section of those things, it tells you that people are regularly shopping there for those items. If you only see a few scraggly things stuck on a shelf, a ball of yarn stuck in with the china, it's kind of your clue that, oh, it may not be as wanted here. I'll tell you, I just went through a lot of my books and I kept a certain set for, okay, I know this person likes paper piecing. I know this person likes embellishing. I know this person likes quilting, and I've, gifted those. But a lot of them were older books and, inspired me at one time, but don't inspire me anymore necessarily, or booklets. And I've piled all those together and I'm taking them to a local thrift store that definitely carries a fair amount of that type of thing. So I know that type of customer. Is going into that store. But that's a really, really good point. Let's see. Hey, Annette, good to have you here with us tonight. Patricia says her family came. Oh, yeah. Well, you either clean and organize or you fill up your closets and tell them don't open the door, right? We all know how that works. And then Ann says most of hers goes to Quilt Guild. Yeah. Just really take your mind to all those different places that could possibly use it and find out. Local quilt guilds, Sharon. Yep, absolutely. Deborah says, all of your local thrift stores have extensive. That's great. Wow. And even machines. Yeah. Very good. Linda's got a good point. Yep. There are definitely places that use crafting items for therapy. That's a good one. Yep. Kathy, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And hey, I see my dear niece Jackie is here, and we spent a ton of time together today, which I will tell you a little bit about in just a few minutes. So, Jackie, good to have you here tonight. I hope that Scarlett and Lily Grace are with you too, watching. Thank you for being here. All right, so let's see what the next one. Next one, number 3 is get rid of, I have a UFO, but that could be several UFOs. That could be a box full of UFOs that is causing you stress or guilt. You don't need it. Okay. Just get rid of it and the guilt will go away. Trust me, you will stop thinking about that item very quickly. Whereas if it's in the back of your mind now, woulda, shoulda, coulda, I bought all that fabric for that quilt, I started to make it, I ended up hating the colors, or I moved somewhere else and it didn't fit, whatever. If it's something that you can kit together, then I recommend putting it all in a Ziploc bag, including the instructions if you can, and or at least, some sort of a note about it, and donating that as a whole, because absolutely people will pick that up for a bargain and make it and finish it, and eventually it will see new life somewhere else, which is a great thing. But if it's just something that you've cut out and maybe didn't get sewn together, don't worry about it. You could possibly donate the fabric itself if it's, something already cut out, just to a place that collects fabric for recycling, for rags. And my local, one of my local thrift stores, I save scraps, and they do recycle that. They told me they use it for packing materials. So at least it's not just going in the dumpster, going in the garbage, where all garbage goes. It's getting at least some more uses. So that definitely can work. All right. So let's see. I already said Hi to Jackie. And yes, love you too. Um, we had a blast today. So give me just another couple minutes and I will tell a little bit more about that because it'll fit with one of my 6 tips for 2025. Okay, so let's see. Sharon seconds the motion about senior centers. Yep. Diane says local resource room or donate it. Oh, that's wonderful. Absolutely. And especially if you have even maybe the opportunity to donate some older machines, maybe find out if somebody there knows already how to operate, they can help people learn to sew. We all know learning to sew is one of the best skills you will ever have to carry with you throughout your entire life. And Mary wants to know where I got the basket system. So I'll just take down that for just a minute so you can see that. Mary, that basket system actually came from Hobby Lobby. So they have multiples of things like this. And it's very functional for me because it's the things that again, I don't want out of sight. Like, I mean, my book, I show that often. But some of these patterns, if I went into my pattern storage, they would be labeled and they would be in a box. But, I know I want to make this relatively soon. So having it out, it makes it really easy for me to access, easy for me to find. I got some um, jelly roll here, some of the threads that I want easy access to. So, that's another way to make your sewing space a happy place, is to have the things that inspire you or are something you really want to work with in the near future close at hand, so you're not having to dig for them. If you have to dig for it, chances are you're going to put it off a little bit. Okay. Sunella, you need some of your clothes given away because you have yeah. Yeah. A lot of times check out some of the places like I forget the name. There was one that I was familiar with for a while that collected in particular for women who were entering the workforce. And we all know quality clothes and a decent looking outfit can set you back monetarily. And when you're searching for employment and you're just starting out, that can be difficult. I've actually in the past have had a few garments that I had a suit, a couple dresses, things that I had cut out that either I decided, why did I buy that fabric? It's not really my color, whatever. I finished it and donated it to places like that in the past, because that way they're getting some quality clothes. So yeah, whether you made them yourself or they're already in your wardrobe. Let's see. Diane says she purges several items you would never finish. Yeah, that's a tough thing with a class. I try when I teach classes, if at all possible, and usually we plan for this, that item gets finished in class. Or if it's a class where you have to have homework, then you got to do something in between before. But when you leave that door of a classroom at the end of a class, it's always best if you have that finished, because you've dedicated the time to doing it while you were there, and finding the time to dedicate to doing it after you leave can definitely be difficult. All right, Karina, what do you got here? You made a sign that says welcome to Area 51. I know. UFOs stand for unfinished objects in the creative world. Somebody remind me what the other one, there's another 3-letter that means something else. Similar idea. Let me know if you know what it is. Kathy, dress for success. Yes. Kathy, do you know if there's anything like that close by us? Because Kathy and I live in the same area. Let me know if you do. That's always a good thing. Sometimes I'll make scarves just because I want to experiment and I want to, play with it, an idea or a design, but I don't necessarily want to keep it. And I will often give those away as well, because there's always somebody that can dress up their outfit with a scarf. Oh, speaking of which, if you caught the show that I did on Sewing Machines Plus, this was the scarf that I showed. Very simple, very easy to do, very fun. You can wear it multiple different ways. You can tie it, you can loop it. It's just made with 6-inch squares of knit fabric that are sewn on point to make triangles, and it makes a really nice accent. So that's a recent show from my new show that I'm doing on the third Tuesday of every month for sewingmachinesplus.com. So if you're on my email list, you're going to get all the notifications for that. Hey, Vanessa, good to have you here. Better late than never. All right. Yeah. Excellent, excellent, excellent point, Angie. Battered Women's Shelter. There's a lot of things that they can use there. So again, most of the time, it's a good idea to check first and see what they're looking for and what they need. But definitely, a lot of those things could be very useful to other people. UFP, unfinished projects. No, there's another one. Yeah. Denise has it. Whips. Okay, you got any whips around? Works in project. For me, a whip as opposed to a UFO is a UFO. I might not ever finish it, really. UFOs sometimes are those things that I'm going to get rid of, where a whip is probably going to get done. So maybe a little distinction in that. Yep. Donna's got the same thing. All right, Vanessa, you came in talking about UFOs. Yep, Area 51. Projects half done. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one. That's a really good one. All right, so let me bring up the next one here. And the next idea that I had was in the coming year and the years beyond that, take a class online or in person to try something you need to know more about or something you know nothing about. So most of you that know me here know that, quilting is kind of on is my quilt over on that side? Over on that side. I do some quilting, but it's not like, oops, I meant to do, let's see, what did I want? That one. It's not my main focus. Like, you're not going to find me in the quilt shop on a regular basis. And when I do quilted projects, generally speaking, they're going to be small, but hey, I love quilts. I love quilting. And I certainly understand people that want to do the majority of their sewing in the arena of quilting for sure. But let's get this back up on here. I like to take quilting classes when I have the opportunity. We have a great quilt show in our area that comes around once a year. They always bring in somebody nationally. And so I try to take at least one class there if I can, usually on something that I never had a previous interest in and know nothing about, because it stretches me and it really gets me to think in a way that I'm not normally thinking, because most of the time I'm creating things that I already know pretty much how to do. I'm experimenting all the time, sure, but the general idea is I'm not having to search for answers on how to. And when I take a class like that, I'm taking something that I've never, ever done before. And I never know if I'm really going to like it. A lot of times I have taken some of those classes and I've enjoyed the process. I've enjoyed the camaraderie. I've enjoyed, just watching other people even enjoying what they're doing. But then I say, I'm not finishing. This is not something that I'm going to do again. But you never know until you try. And definitely, we always want to keep growing and we always want to keep stretching. Okay, 5 is stock up on necessities. So yeah, this one just sounds like kind of like, yeah, sure, no brainer. But we all know that if you don't have what you need when you need it, it's going to stop you. So think about it. Make a list of the things that you use the most often, the stabilizers that you use most often, the thread colors you use most often. If you're purchasing polyester thread, synthetic thread for either embroidery or sewing. That thread has a long shelf life. If it's kept relatively in good shape, it's going to last a long, long time. I'm turning off my notifications here so I don't hear that ringer. So, go ahead and get, have 2 spools of black thread if you use a lot of black, or buy it in the bigger cone. Have what you need so that when you are inspired and when you have a project to work on, it's not going to stop you. And definitely shop for sales. I buy interfacing by the bolt. If it's an interfacing that I use all the time, and or buy at least like 5, buy what you think you're going to need, but have a decent amount of it so that you're not always running out and always looking for what you need. All right, I just got one more for you, and that is related to what I did today. With my niece Jackie and her daughter Lily Grace, who is going to fashion school at Kent State, and then her sister Scarlett came along as well. But I've had the wonderful pleasure, blessing, opportunity to mentor Lily Grace in sewing in particular. Today we spent the whole day together, and she finished her first embroidered, sewn from scratch sweatshirt, and it was absolutely gorgeous. If you're on my list, you'll see some pictures in my email over the weekend, and she just did such a fabulous job. She is definitely got it, meaning she has the talent, the drive, the personality, the determination, the patience, all the things that we do that keep us sewing and make us love sewing. All of those things combined together she's just shining with all of that. And it's been a real experience for me as obviously an advanced sewing enthusiast to see what it's like to be in those new shoes. So she, like I said, in particular, she's very talented, very, very talented, and has done really, really well. We were using the serger, we used the sewing machine, we used the embroidery machine. We've done it all already, and we'll do more to come, Lily Grace, more to come. But seeing her not suffer from some of the things that we suffer from later on in our sewing life, which part of that is pointing out, all of our negatives, saying can't do, too hard to do, won't do. All of that when you're new very much can be just, it's new. I don't know that it's hard, so I'm going to do it anyway. And then once it's done, it leads to the next step and the next step. But having, the chance to help her with things that are, kind of stepping back to the beginning of when I sewed, it makes me think also how much I've really learned over the years. And you absolutely learn from watching someone else sew, what things you can improve on as well. And so that's been a really great experience. And you'll definitely be challenged probably by their, again, it's like they tell us we should all explore our inner child, where we go back to the days when we could color outside the lines, where nobody told us you're jumping rope for too long, or why do you want to ride your bike every day? We just did it because it was part of expressing ourselves. And it's the same thing with sewing. If we kind of get back to that beginning stage, we look at it with fresh eyes, and we have, I think, more of a can-do attitude. Let me know if you agree on that. Okay, Annette just signed up for a year-long class teaching various machine embroidery. Oh, that's wonderful. You will learn a lot. You will definitely learn a lot. And yeah, let's see. Vanessa says, nice, good job to Lily Grace. Cindy says, how fun. Jenny says, it's great. Yeah, Cindy, thank you. I feel blessed to have her with me. Ginny is teaching her 13-year-old granddaughter and loving it. Yep. If you have an opportunity to guide somebody into the joy of creating, it is well worth your time. All right, let's see. Vanessa says she loves teaching. Yeah, that's great. It's definitely videoing it is not only, something that they're going to enjoy, but you're going to have those memories to look back on later. So, and Anne, let's see, Anne's two of her granddaughters. Yeah, even if they're just, watching you in what you're doing, you never know what they might pick up later. So I hope that you have enjoyed those tips. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed spending time with you all year long, and I'm looking forward to a lot for the future. So I think I had one. Did I have one more picture? Yeah, I had one more picture there. So my other little tip for you is just keep watching, keep following, keep asking your questions and sharing your thoughts. I love hearing your thoughts, and I love getting your questions. You stretch my mind, you help me think, and I love helping in any way I can. So thank you so much. We'll see you all next year. Have a happy new year. Stay safe, enjoy, and I wish you a world full of pretty stitches. Bye-bye.